Hey everyone, this is Oscar G with OG Construction Project Manager. If you recall from last week, we discussed management. Now, in today's episode, we're going to discuss leaders and leadership. So, what exactly is leadership? Well, leadership is what leaders do. It's a process of leading a group and influencing that group to achieve its goals. As we can see from this definition, leaders are the people who persuade others into following them into whatever task is to be completed or adventure to be had. Now, we shouldn't confuse this with doing what our friends tell us to do sometimes. So let's take a look at what leaders do. Now, a leader is someone who can influence others and who has managerial authority. This is to say, this sort of leader has the authority to tell you what you should be doing. But that is not the only thing they are here for. These are the people who can rally a group behind a project, rally the team to complete the task at hand, or they can motivate and inspire their troops to take on the enemy. We'll go over a couple of examples later on. So, leaders, as studies have found, have a dual nature of behaviors. They not only focus on getting the work done, but they also keep focus on the needs of the employees. In this aspect, you will see leaders having compassion for the employees just as much as trying to make sure the work is done for the organization they work for. This set of traits is also responsible for the leaders to stand behind and champion for their coworkers. These people display compassion and empathy towards their subordinates. So, one type of leader we're going to be looking at is a transactional leader. Now, these types of leaders guide or motivate followers to work towards goals by exchanging rewards for productivity. Of course, these types of leaders are those who offer incentives to employees for completing work and achieving the organization's goals. And of course, with this, it's usually, hey, there's going to be a bonus for you if you can finish this ahead of schedule type of thing. Now, another type of leader is a transformational leader. So, transformational leaders are those who stimulate and inspire followers to achieve extraordinary outcomes. Now, this doesn't mean that those leaders can make people do the impossible. They merely keep up the morale and create or increase productivity from their employees. This is part of the leader's focus on the employee. So the next type of leader that we're going to be looking at is a charismatic leader. Now, charismatic leaders are enthusiastic, self-confident leaders whose personality and actions influence people to behave a certain way. These leaders are very good at influencing others and are usually the ones who are visionaries in their field or in their industry. And of course, one of these most well-known type of leader is Amazon's own Jeff Bezos. He has a great, unique, very contagious laugh, is what I've heard. But out of all these leaders, what is it that they need in order to influence followers pretty much to follow them? Trust. There are 5 components to trust. So without trust, the followers will not be able to continue to be influenced, and they will not continue to produce for these people. So let's take a look at what these components are. Starting with the first one, we have integrity. Now, integrity sometimes is hard for people to be able to define. All they know is that, yes, someone has integrity because they do what they say. So when you really break it down and think about it, integrity comes down to a leader's honesty and truthfulness. They're not going to try to hide what's going on with the company. If the company is going down in flames, they're going to have to be like, tell their employees, hey, you guys, please, we're just not doing very well. We need to cut hours. Or maybe even, is the company is just going in, it's being run into the ground and we're going to have to close down pretty soon. You just have to be honest and truthful. And when people ask you, some of your employees ask you certain questions, you just have to be upfront about it. Otherwise you're going to ruin that trust that's between the organization or the boss and the employees. Now, the next one that we're looking at is competence, technical and interpersonal knowledge and skills. Now, some people get promoted into managerial roles just based on the amount of time that they're at an organization. They're not always competent in the other departments that they all of a sudden become managers of. And so in maybe as a manager it's okay because they know that the things need to get done right, as we've discussed before. But in order to do the right thing and be competent in that field, like it says here, or like we talked about here, that technical and interpersonal knowledge and skills. So if someone is coming from purchasing, all of a sudden becomes, a manager and is trying to lead a team, but don't have the technical know-how of the engineering department, it's going to be very difficult for that engineering department to really follow the lead from purchasing if that person is not well versed in, even if they don't know exactly the numbers behind the engineering and the the techniques, as long as they're knowledgeable in that, engineering takes certain things and they need certain information, and it takes a certain amount of time. Technical things are not all the way down to, oh, well, this is how we calculate that curvature that we need to account for. That's really, really coming down to, and actually that's why you have department heads under the under the main managers. There's going to be someone managing the engineering department. There's going to be someone managing purchasing or even human resources, depending on the size of the organization. But if you are going to be a leader, you need to have some technical and interpersonal knowledge and skills on how to handle those types of people. Now, the next component is consistency. The consistency is the reliability, predictability, and good judgment in handling situations. And as we said here, for sorry about that, consistency, you just need to be making sure that when you make decisions, you're kind of always evaluating the same things, or always have the same thoughts in evaluating the situation at hand. And people can rely on you to make the correct decision because of your record in the past and your consistency in how you break things down and evaluate things, like we said. So moving on, the next one is loyalty. Loyalty is the willingness to protect a person physically and emotionally. And that is one of the biggest things that get people in trouble, at the same time that it's one of the better qualities to have in someone. Now, it's not to say that just because you're loyal to someone that you should lie for them or try to cover up their tracks so that they don't get in trouble. That is not, then that's when we run into what came about in episode 1, ethics. Yes, you need to have a certain level of loyalty to your employees, but at the same time to the organization. It's sometimes a delicate balance, and you really need to take a look at yourself and take a look at the situation and make sure that you're making the right decision. And yes, you're willing to stick your neck out for an employee, but that should be when they have a good idea, when you know that they are right and maybe the organization is kind of iffy, or there's a policy that really does need to be changed because it hasn't kept up with the times. And this is part of, as a leader, being there to champion for the employee. So don't forget also, loyalty goes both ways. This is a two-way street. You show your loyalty to the employees and stand up for them, they will stick their necks out for you also. And as a leader, they're going to come to you with things and kind of, I guess in a way, indirectly be telling you what they need or what they want from upper management. So you as a leader not only display that loyalty back to them by saying, okay, I hear you, and I'll take that up with management. But you also need to take into account that when something comes up and you need help with something, they're going to be there for you, right? So like it says, the willingness to protect a person, either physically or emotionally. And sometimes people come to you saying, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't get as much done today. I got some stuff going on. And also part of this is that when you're emotionally available to people, they're trusting you. If, obviously, don't go running off and telling everyone what's going on. That trust, that relationship, very based on trust, is very strong. But of course, as we know, trust takes years it can take years to build up, but it can take as little as 1 to 5 seconds to completely break that trust. So, moving on, we've got openness. Now, openness is the willingness to share ideas and information freely. Now, this part here about this openness, it can be about many different things. The willingness to share ideas. So that means, the employees come up and say, hey, man, I've got this great idea. I just need help, to develop it. And I think, either it might be the next great thing. It might be another way to become more efficient at what we're doing. And that information is, they're exchanging it freely. And then you as a leader need to consider that and say, okay, there's no issue. We can help you, expand your idea. Now, sometimes you might have to pull back and say, you know what, now's not the time. But keep that in mind, and we'll come back to it. We'll revisit it when, there's some downtime or when there's a bit of a lull, and we can get it in and we can get up to upper management, and I'll help you develop your idea so that you can pitch it to upper management. So that's one aspect. Now, another aspect of sharing information freely is if upper management is trying to do something almost covert in the shadows that's going to affect the employees, a leader has to stand up and say, hey guys, so this is what's going on. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Upper management doesn't want me to tell you, but I want it to be out there open so you guys aren't worrying. Because don't forget that rumors spread fast. The truth might take some time to get here and there. But if you leave it to chance, if you just leave that, if you don't talk to the employees and tell them exactly what's going on, the rumors are going to spread so fast. There's a story that I read in one of the textbooks where the management was going to sell the organization to someone else. But the upper management didn't want to tell the employees. And one day, just all of a sudden, upper management said, okay, we're going to have a meeting between all the first tier managers and the second tier managers. We need to have all of you guys, come in, and we're going to go into the conference room and have a meeting. Of course, nothing was told to the employees. So when all of a sudden all the managers took off around the same time, by the time that meeting was done, 15-20 minutes later, the rumor had spread all across the organization. There were rumors of they're going to sell the organization. They're going to lay a bunch of people off. Something happened. There was a big accident, or, there was all kinds of rumors going around. But the point is that within that small time frame, just because no one was told, the rumor just started flying around and spreading like wildfire. Of course, when the managers got back, one of them did say, listen, guys, we're really sorry. We weren't allowed to tell you anything, but this is what's going on. The owners are looking at selling the company, and they wanted to see how many of us were going to stay, who was going to leave, if anybody wanted, letters of recommendation or anything. But they pretty much didn't want to tell you guys first. And that's completely opposite of, of being open. because you have to have, like we said, you have to have that trust built between leaders and employees or the subordinates there. So that's the 5 components to trust. So now, if you remember from the end of the last episode, we posed a question. So which is it better to be? Do you think you should be more of a manager? Is that the better way to go so that things get done and done right? Or is it better to be more of a leader where they, like we said, they stand behind their employees and they have the trust there, right? So should a manager be more like a leader, or should a leader be more like a manager? That's the question that was posed. And what do you think the answer is? Of course, the answer is yes. You need to be both. As a project manager, you also need to have leadership skills and be able to be a leader when the time comes to it. And I don't mean a leader like a general in the army. You need to do this and you need to do that, and you start delegating things. Because then you're being a leader, but it's more as a manager just barking orders, which, like I said, more like military style. And, the generals, they call it leaders, and the president, well, the office of the presidency here in the U.S., the leader of the free world is the president. But when we're talking about project management, like we said, especially in construction, in order to have a great experience, not only for yourself, but for the employees and the other subordinates that are on your team, you need to have a balance of both roles. Be able to have people do things the right way, cross the T's, dot the I's, and complete your tasks on time, every time. And you yourself have that consistency also of how you send everyone to do their stuff. So, don't forget, even as a project manager, you need to be able to be a person who can not only do things right, but you also have to do the right thing. Okay? Watch out for your employees, because honestly, without employees, a lot of people wouldn't have a job. A lot of these, managers wouldn't have a job. But you also want to have that trust and be a leader. Okay? So, let's see. What else? Yes. And don't forget that there's going to be times that you're going to have to rally your troops. You're going to have to push towards the end of a project when people are tired, especially for one of those multi-year projects. And, the people get burnt out. Don't get me wrong. It's just something that happens. I love my job, but can you imagine? Going on 2 years doing the same thing on the same project. Like we said, I'm sure you're going to have different projects going on. But, just sometimes the guys out on the job site just need, someone to rally behind, someone who's going to keep up the morale. And as a project manager, you're going to have to be that leader. You're going to have to be that leader that really, really motivates them and makes them push, get that last really good push to finish the project strong. But now we have to also look at, what about when sometimes you have to take over someone else's job, someone else's project that they were completely neglecting. Of course, and now when you come in and the people that have been working on that project are disillusioned, they're just broken because, sometimes, they're supposed to get things done, but they're behind. So now they're just kind of, just almost zombie-like walking around, like, yeah, I got to do this today, or yeah, this needs to get done. But you need to be that person that kind of gives them that kick in the ass to get them up off their ass and get the work done and be happy to just be done with it. Just give them that, like we said, just give them that last push. And especially if the project you're taking over, like I said, is just in complete disarray. Now, it doesn't mean that things can't be done right from then on. Stuff is messed up when you show up. You get everything in line and get everyone together and say, it really sucked back then. I'm here now. I've fixed a bunch of stuff. So now let's move on. Forget what happened then. Okay? Except, obviously make sure you don't repeat any of the same mistakes, But, we got to press on. And you're going to be that general. You're going to be, that 4-star general, that leader that people just need. And as a project manager, that's your job. That's part of your job. I guess one of the trends that has been going around is that when project managers, when the postings go up, there's all kinds of stuff about, in the job description, manage multiple projects at the same time, being able to multitask and complete, many other things. Obviously, the usual, read blueprints and all that other stuff that's involved with construction, or any type of schematics or diagrams for those that are not in the construction industry, but they are project managers. And sorry, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you get in there and you fix things and you just got to tell everyone this is how it's going to be from now on, we're going to do things right and we're going to get this done. And that's that, But don't forget, in order for you to be a great project manager, you need to make sure that you can manage the project, manage the people, and manage time, as well as lead those who depend on you. So with that, we will end our discussion on leaders and leadership. So we will see you next week. I'm not exactly sure what the topic is going to be for next week. I have to look at my notes, but I'm sure it'll be something interesting. If you like this video, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button. All new subscribers are greatly appreciated. Okay, and you can follow us on Twitter, and also you can give us an email at ogconstructionpm@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe.